It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email me as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Well, I'm still in my afterglow of my incredible vacation to the Bay Area. I'm going to tell you all the details on Friday, but I really did love the fact that when I was in the city of San Francisco, I could walk to work. That is a big difference from the hour-long commute that I have to deal with on the hot 405 when I'm down here in Los Angeles. And luckily, if you live in a place like San Francisco, even if you don't live 10 minutes away walking distance from your job, there are options available to you. There's Muni, there's BART, there's a lot of ways to get around in that city. There's Waymo. In Los Angeles, from where I live in the San Fernando Valley to where my radio station is in Culver City, not a whole lot of options. Of course, I could just, work from home permanently, but I guess they don't want to do that yet. But that would be nice. Oh, it would be nice. But it would also be nice if there were other ways for me to get to the radio station. Now, yes, we have LA Metro, but LA Metro is neither safe nor convenient. And those things could change over time. I don't know if it's going to be permanently that way. Eventually, you would have to imagine they are going to build some kind of way to get from the San Fernando Valley to the west side of Los Angeles. That has to happen in my lifetime. Or in my niece and nephew's lifetime. Maybe. So that aspect is possible. And you know what? Maybe that would be nice. Maybe I could sit there, have the laptop on my lap, and do my show prep. Instead of just listening to it, I can do my editing right there, and I could enjoy myself and relax. That would be nice. But again, that's the convenience factor. There's also the fact that currently, the way Metro is right now, there's no way I'm bringing my laptop on one of those trains because it's not necessarily safe. But while we feel like we may have hit rock bottom when it comes to Metro, there are some signs of improvement. There are some ideas that for some reason were controversial when they were first coming out that are now starting to get adopted more widely on the Metro system. And I'm pretty excited about this because about a year ago, Metro was dealing with a massive open-air drug market at the MacArthur Park Station, which happens to be in the LA City Council district of Eunice Hernandez.
Yes!
And Metro was getting a lot of bad press from investigative reports from NBC4 and KCAL and Fox 11 of all the drug use that was on that specific platform in that specific station. So even though this is a system-wide problem and there are issues all over the place, including North Hollywood, including Universal City, including the West Side, including the East Side, including downtown, they decided to institute a pilot program. That pilot program was designed to deter people from spending too much time in the station because you're not supposed to live there. You're not supposed to do your drugs there. You're supposed to get on the platform and go. So they started blasting classical music, and I loved it. I thought that was great. Not only is it kind of fun and it's kind of classy, but it will deter people from loitering in the station where they're not supposed to be. Now, Metro's not the first person to come up with this plan. You've seen this done by a whole bunch of people, including 7-Elevens, because they don't want people hanging outside the 7-Eleven at night. It drives the meth heads away. There's something about the sound of a violin that is extra grating if your teeth are chattering because you just smoked a whole bunch of meth because Karen Bass says you needed to stay up at night because it's not safe outside. Oh, I got to cut up that clip later. Well, the program has been successful enough that it is finally expanding to other stations. For an update on Metro blasting classical music in their stations to deter the drug addicts, let's go to a report from KCAL. And that's the intro to KCAL. That's not the classical music.
This is KCAL News, Los Angeles.
They could just run that on a loop. KCAL could pay for it.
Encouraging movement at the Metro, the transit agency is now playing the classics to discourage loitering. Several stations have noticed unhoused individuals and others hanging out.
And KCAL News reporter Tom Wade is live in downtown LA, where Metro is bringing on a symphony. Tom.
Oh, Pat, you're so clever. Pat can do whatever she wants. She's a legend.
They are certainly bringing on the symphony.
Okay, but Tom Wade, don't need the fake laugh. Let me play this exchange in its entirety.
Is bringing on a symphony. Tom.
They are certainly bringing on the...
Didn't need to do that. It would have worked better if you didn't laugh.
They are certainly bringing on the symphony, Pat. You know, the music is pretty pleasant, but I think the idea is if you stay in the station long enough, it's not, and that stops people from loitering.
And it's not like they're putting on KUSC, or I believe that's the classical music station. I think they're playing the same song that's royalty-free on a 4-minute loop. But again, that shouldn't be a problem because ideally, you would not be spending more than 4 to 8 minutes at a Metro station. Unless you missed your train or the train is delayed, then maybe you notice it. I understand how irritating repetitive music gets. Don't make me tell you the Magic Mountain Christmas story again. Because I will.
Classical music is serenading Metro riders in more stations. The music here at the Pershing Square station.
It makes it sound so fancy. Oh, it just sounds so classy.
The music here at the Pershing.
They should really have, they should really dress up the station too and have someone selling you tea. So you can slowly sip your tea while you're listening to your classical music.
The music here at the Pershing Square station in downtown LA.
Maybe they could have a bookstore, and while you're sipping your tea and listening to the classical music, they have nothing but Jane Austen novels. Come on, this would be great.
Is not blaring, but it's certainly loud enough that it's hard to ignore. The music is part of Metro's plan to keep people from lingering in stations.
They don't want people sleeping and homeless people sleeping. So
Chris Stout, who commutes between the San Fernando Valley and downtown, says he recently noticed the very audible classical music.
I guess try it, right? See if it works. I don't know how effective it is, but
apparently at MacArthur Park, it's been very effective. Now, a lot of the people who use the Metro as a drug den decided to just go to other platforms and to other stations. But the whole point is to make it uncomfortable. You should not be comfortable doing your drugs in a public space, let alone a public space where people are supposed to safely want to use public transit. This is the same system where we are actively encouraging middle school and high school students to get their free tap cards so they could take the bus and the train to school. If you want to do that, then you have every responsibility to make that platform as safe as possible. And one of the ways you can do that is making it as uncomfortable as possible for the drug addicts.
you got to do something.
It was April 2023 when Metro first started rolling out the classical music in MacArthur Park. With drug use and crime soaring in the system, Metro officials at the time saying the music was effective, with crime stats dropping, they said, where the music was playing. Now Pershing Square and other stations have been added to the mix.
Come on, do it to 7th Street Metro Station. Maybe I'll go to a Laker game again. Well, I'd need to save up some money first. Those things aren't cheap.
Now Pershing Square and other stations have been added to the mix.
One tool in a whole complex issue, right? So I'd hate to be the people that are in charge of figuring out the solution for it.
I would hate to be them too, but all those people are very well paid. And they come up with a lot of dumb ideas. I don't hate this idea. I think it's hilarious. I think it's great, and I think it's classy.
LA's metro system has been plagued by violence, random murders, attacks, and robberies. It's also become infamous for open drug use.
Now, would the murders on those other trains have happened if every single platform is blasting the classical music? Maybe. But at least we go down in style.
It's also become infamous for open drug use. Recently, Metro officials have tried new measures like the music and also another pilot program for fare enforcement, trying to keep people who aren't riding the Metro out of the system.
And you know what's interesting about that program going on in North Hollywood? There's a lot of response to it, and it's majority, like 90% positive, because they've got officers making sure that you tap out, and we know that you paid to get on your ride, because if you didn't pay, you're probably up to no good. And there's actually been a positive response to all the law enforcement at that North Hollywood station. So maybe Metro will notice that that's what the people want. Forget what the really loud people on Twitter say. They are not reality. The reality is, to use a phrase that politicians use way too much, most people will put up with the classical music, might even enjoy it, as long as it helps keep the scary people away. Because if you keep the scary people away, people might just use your system.
I've seen more cops come down here and walk in security, which I think is good, because you definitely got to keep it safe, right?
Average rider has no problem with police on the trains. Bus riders union, not representative of real people.
If not, people don't want to ride it. So I think if you keep it more safe, then more people would be willing to ride it too.
In the time that we were inside of the Pershing Square station, it seems that the music was effective. There was no one loitering, no one sleeping in the station. We'll keep you posted on how.
And that's a dirty station. That one's by City Hall.
These crime stats check out. Reporting live downtown, I'm Tom Wade, KCAL News.
Tom, thank you.
Well, and if you remember, when this was originally going forward in the MacArthur Park station, it was not without its detractors. Because there were a lot of people that thought this was cruel, this was mean, this was hostile, this was torture, including my girl, Ulysses Hernandez.
How dare you?
About a year ago, she went on the Streets for All happy hour. Streets for All, the advocacy group that got Measure HLA passed, which is going to put bike lanes and bus lanes all over the place, whether you like it or not. She was asked on their happy hour what she thought about the MacArthur Park station blasting that classical music.
I do have a question about the MacArthur Park station. So Metro made headlines recently by blasting classical music on a loop at a very loud level to discourage unhoused folks from loitering in the MacArthur Park station.
Obviously, do not support hostile infrastructure.
Hostile. Have you heard the violins? Have you heard the flutes? You might even heard a clarinet. I learned how to play the clarinet, played it for 7 years. And then I stopped because I wanted to go get a job at Magic Mountain. What a weird life.
Obviously, do not support hostile infrastructure, whether it's through actual infrastructure, whether it's through sounds. Just something, our team has communicated from the beginning with Metro. That is not something that, we want to see.
Ulysses says, no, the classical music, it's hostile. It's mean. It's bad. And then, of course, the LA Times. They have routinely criticized this program, even though it's successful. And here is a little snippet of the Inside LA Times. This is either a podcast or it's a show on Spectrum. No one's ever seen it, so we're never going to be able to verify it.
So Metro decides a weapon they'll deploy to clear the crowds is classical music? Explain.
Yes. So it's a pilot program that LA Metro started in January, and they're piping in.
Oh, that's quite the symphony.
And they're piping in loud classical music. They say it's a royalty-free playlist, and they listed some classic composers. And they are piping it into Westlake MacArthur Park, along with these floodlights on either end of the platform, and increased patrolling and other things as part of a pilot program to try and make it uncomfortable for unhoused people to spend long periods of time down there, and also to deter crime.
Which is a great idea. Those are things we want, correct? That's what we want, people to use the system as it's intended, not as a drug den, not as a place to commit crimes or to sleep.
Yeah, and you guys visited a few times. It's playing on a loop. I mean, you're going to hear the same song again and again and again.
Yeah, yes. When I was there, I Shazammed it, and it was the same composer again and again. I was there for 30 minutes. It's a 4-minute composition, and it played over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be spending that much time there. You were, because you were reporting on the story. Unique situation.
Critics of the new...
But no. Listen to them.
Over again.
Ooh, they need more than one song.
Critics of the new approach lit up social media.
Yes. So people are pretty upset about this. They feel that music should not be used as what they're referring to as basically a cruel and inhumane torture device.
Classical music at the Metro station, a cruel and inhumane torture device.
At the levels that they're experiencing it, there, people who have been underground have put, up things on Twitter with the levels that sound exorbitantly loud. And they've compared it to like a Clockwork Orange, sort of dystopian society where, classical music is being used for these really dark ends.
Now, this is where I have a problem with the way that certain stories get reported. See, the Los Angeles Times we'll cherry pick a few tweets that are out there from the loud advocates that don't want Metro to do anything about the homeless, about the drugs on the trains, and decide that that's what the people are saying. Well, I don't think so. I don't think the people are represented by those tweets that say blasting the classical music at MacArthur Park and now Pershing Square and a few other stations is torturous. It's hostile. It's dystopian. And I'm going to find out right now because guess what? I'm hosting a live local radio talk show, and I have an ability to talk to the people right now, the people of Los Angeles County. Whether you ride the Metro system or you don't, you're going to have an opinion on this because I want to know. Do you think blasting classical music at Metro stations is torture? Because that's what the LA Times believes you think. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Ulysses Hernandez says it's hostile. What do you think about the classical music being blasted out at Metro stations? Is it torture or is it kind of cool? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I want to talk to you. Do you think the music at Metro that's being blasted out to deter the homeless is torture? 800-222-KABC. Let's start with Teddy and Van Nuys. Teddy, hello.
Hey, Randy, you know, it was like 2 months ago that the ACLU, there was a private business that at night was being invaded by the homeless, so the business started to play classical music, and the ACLU went to court, and the guy had to cease and desist. Do you remember that story?
Oh, yeah. I think that was up in San Rafael. It was the auto shop, and there's a homeless encampment on the other side, and the employees were getting scared because they were getting assaulted, and so they were blasting the music. The homeless people found an advocate to find a lawyer to sue them, and while that's being fought out in court, there's an injunction, and they can't play the classical music.
Correct. Well, that's, you know, it's BS, and now the city can do it.
But the fact is, I used to ride the Metro. The wife used to ride the Metro, Angel here, and I used to ride it in the train, and I won't do it anymore because I don't care to be stabbed, I don't care to be beat up, and I won't be there as long as security is not proper. I need to be safe. But the music, congratulations. Somebody is thinking. Yes.
Angel, I agree with you. I don't care to be stabbed either. Teddy and Angel, thank you so much for calling. Love talking to you. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Metro is expanding their program of blasting classical music in the stations to scare away the drug addicts. There are certain critics, like Ulysses Hernandez and the LA Times, that believe you, the residents of LA County, believe this is torture and cruel. How do you actually feel about this? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Ulysses Hernandez calls it hostile. The LA Times claims that residents thinks it's torture. What is it? It's Metro blasting classical music to keep the drug addicts away. Do you think that's torture? Because they're expanding it to more stations. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Andrew in Garden Grove. Andrew, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great.
Good. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Anything to help, anything to help deter crime away from places we use every day. I use the Metro, and I think it's just something that's awesome. I mean, I don't see what the problem is if a lot of people are saying it's a great idea. It's working. I don't see why we can't just all agree. Like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's push the music. I work in an area where it's industrial, and the businesses are starting to use it to deter homeless away from the train tracks there. And then sometimes it doesn't work, but I think even just making them feel uncomfortable is enough. So. where I stand.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. We needed to make it a place where people are safe to use what it is intended for, and what it's not intended for is for people to shoot up and for people to sleep. Andrew, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. More of your phone calls coming up. 800-222-KABC. Do you think Metro blasting classical music in its stations is torture? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Metro made headlines because they are expanding a pilot program that was successful in MacArthur Park to make that park station more safer. What are they doing? They're blasting classical music. And it's working. However, there are some people that are not fans, like Eunice Hernandez.
Yes!
She says it's hostile, and the LA Times cherry-picked tweets and a story they wrote about this to say that it is torture. But I don't think the residents think it's torture, but we're going to find out because we got live phone calls right here of the residents. 800-222-KABC. Do you think Metro blasting classical music at their stations is torture? Let's go to Linda in Torrance. Linda, hello.
Hey, Randy. I think it is a great idea, low cost, saves us money on a Metro system that is losing money. And if you want riders, you've got to do something, and it was pretty smart to do something that's not going to cost us more money. And Ulysses is obviously a hostile council member who doesn't care about wasting money and the taxpayer's dime to the Metro and to keep things like garbage and, having drug users and not safe and not having riders. This is saving them money also from graffiti and wear and tear and all the other things that make the place go to hell.
You're totally right. And if you keep those things clean, if you show the public that you can make them safe, they will use it because nobody wants to actually sit in their car. It's hell. Linda, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Now, they still need to build it out to a whole bunch of places. But if you're building it, but you're not making it safe, what are you doing? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Morris in Studio City. Morris, hello.
Yes, I rode the subway last week, and I heard the loud music. It doesn't do a whole lot. What they need to do is bring out a cattle prod and start poking these people to get off the subway platform altogether. This has gone too far. This problem started many, many years ago. They did nothing about it. Nothing. A couple of years back, when our ex-mayor Garcetti was in office, there was a couple of LAPD officers in uniform. I said, why don't you go in the subway cars and start getting these people off? We're not allowed on there. And that's where the problems are in the subway cars and the issues not being addressed. They need to go in plain clothes to make it look like that they're not in law enforcement because they turn on the ghetto blaster radios, smoke the dope, and they go on panhandling, too, on the subway cars, and nothing is done about it. So the music, I don't know what's going to do then until they bring out a cattle prod and also a bathtub to clean these people up. I don't know what's going to solve this problem. I don't think this is it. It's part of it.
There we go, cattle prods and bathtubs, although I wouldn't mix those two together. That could be disastrous. Morris, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Guy loves to call in and blast away. And yeah, how did we get here? We told law enforcement to stand down, to stay off the trains, to not bother these people for a very, very, very long time. Well, maybe we're starting to move in the right direction. Maybe. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Do you think blasting loud classical music at metro stations is torture? Because the LA Times thinks you do. Let's go to Bo in Santa Clarita. Bo, hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, classical, terrible. I mean, who wants to listen to that crap? If I lived over there, I'd want them to play like death metal or something better.
Well, that's one way. So you're saying we shouldn't be playing Bach or Mozart. We should be playing Cannibal Corpse.
Yes, exactly.
There you go, Bo. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. That could be fun for a little while. That definitely would be. Well, the thing is, if you're really, really, really amped up on meth, that might get you going a little further. But I love the spirit of it. Maybe we just do 80s metal. A little Ozzy, a little Quiet Riot, a little AC/DC, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. Ooh, I'd love me some Iron Maiden. Let's go to Lauren in Westminster. Lauren, hello.
Hi there, Randy. I'm your truck driver who's the reformed shoplifter who got 20 years once upon a time. Remember me?
Oh, yeah. I remember you.
Okay. Before I give my answer, I want to say, while I was driving my big rig yesterday, you made me laugh so hard that I almost crashed. And that was when the guy smoked a cigarette with the propane tanks, and you said, at least he's got a convertible now.
That was a good one.
That was a really good one. Yeah. And you said before you don't get a response to your punchlines because you're not on stage. So, well, that was a great one. Anyway, I lived in downtown Long Beach for a few years, and I noticed all the 7-Elevens over there do it. And you'll have a few people that are immune to it, but for the most part, you don't have a party going on out in the parking lot. So it does work. It's not perfect, but it's a good choice. And I just want to say that the neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids, they definitely don't like it.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
Lauren, thank you so much for the call and the laugh and the kind words. We always appreciate you calling in. It was like a take me out with an Imelda Padilla.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
Lycus really did have like the greatest thing to end a call in talk radio. Take me out with a drop. No one can ever do it again because then you'd be stealing. Let's go to Marvin in L.A. Marvin, hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. How's it going?
Doing great.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it does work. I'm right with that guy. I travel from L.A. to Hawthorne to Santa Fe Springs, Norwalk, and I stop at 7-Elevens out there all the time, 4 or 5 in the morning, and they be playing that classical music, and there's no homeless people. They actually disappear. After a while, they'll sit there for a minute, but after a while, it gets irritating, and they'll leave. They don't even have to call the police.
It's incredible. And it's like someone else said, a very cost-effective solution to the problem. And, you know, if it bothers you, you really shouldn't be standing outside the 7-Eleven to begin with.
Yeah, just like that guy that just called and was talking about maybe we should play some rock and roll or something. I'm like you, AC/DC is my band. But
there we go.
But you have a big gathering out there, you get to play in that.
There you go. People will start putting their fists in the air, doing the devil horns. We get a little concert going. Marvin, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. That guy's got a great laugh. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Now, if we do AC/DC, do we mix it up? Is it some Bon Scott? Is it some Brian Johnson? Or do we all do all old school AC/DC? Do we do Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap just on a loop? Because if you listen to it enough times, you'll actually understand what the lyrics mean. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang. More of your phone calls coming up. Do you think Metro blasting classical music is torture? Because that's what you nissies in the LA Times think you think. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. As a big thank you to supporting this show, for all your calls and your emails, telling all your friends to stick it right here to 790 KABC. I got a huge giveaway for you. 790 KABC welcomes Kenny Chesney, The Sun Goes Down tour with Zac Brown Band at SoFi Stadium, July 20th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by MTG. Good luck dialing. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Tim in Pasadena. Tim, hello.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
Hey, so going back to that platform there, they're doing it all wrong. Classical music's too calm, too sleepy. It's just going to put them to sleep. They're still going to be there. We need to do it right. We need to get bagpipes down there. Get the bagpipe lessons going on the platform, and it'll clear the place out.
There we go. We should schedule a bagpipe school at the bottom of the platform. That'll really get everyone's attention. Tim, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. More of your calls coming up shortly. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Let's get back to the phones on Metro blasting classical music. Let's go to Sergio in Hollywood. Sergio, hello.
Hey, how you doing? Look, Timothy Leary, a counterculture icon of the 60s, said, turn on, tune in, drop out. And that's what those guys are doing in those subway stations. Well, you put on the classic music and it's total opposite. It's an optimistic music with can have a lot of structure. Its architecture is incredible. And it was created by people who, in the age of enlightenment, during the scientific revolution, that created all the great structures we have. And those people on the city council, they're part of the counterculture. They're actually counter-civilizational. They don't want to clear out Echo Park. They don't want to clear it. They want chaos. That's what's up.
I think you got a great point, Sergio. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. When I hear classical music, it makes me want to study because I used to play it in the background while I was studying. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, I don't know about this classical music, but check out the radio ad for that new anti-loitering docudrama. County Supervisor Katzenbarger, Mayor Karen Bass, and Girl Boss Productions proudly present It's Metro Cop, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch Marengo, an MTA inspector educating train squatters who dare to mock his rainbow hazmat suit. Look, you smelly bastards, don't pee and poo over there. And remember, pay your fare. Stick around. I'll be back. Co-starring Joe Pesci as the local sheriff hounded by ridicule and pesky lunatics. So you think I'm a funny guy, huh? Like a little clown or something at the end of the day? Do I amuse you at the end of the day? Frankly, I think I do a pretty good job at the end of the day. You're in luck. It's Metro Cop, now streaming on local trains and buses.
Bill, that's great. I think your Pesci needs a little work, but I love the spirit of it. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Greg in Tarzana. Greg, hello.
Hey, how you doing, Randy?
Doing great.
Just a quick, simple question for you. Hey, great. Just a quick, simple question for you. I sent in to you and your buddy John Phillips a poem that I wrote that I was I was inspired to write on how crappy the whole Metro. And I'm just curious if you and or your buddy John Phillips received it in the email.
Oh yeah, we read it on the air.
Oh, you did? Oh, I guess I missed it. You know,
Rolling
it dawned on
Scum,
me,
correct?
too.
That's what it was?
I'm sorry, what? Say it again?
You called it Rolling Scum?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, and it dawned on me. I should have actually put it at the end, which is true. I should have said P.S. I almost forgot. You might get shot.
That's great. Greg, appreciate it. I love it. Thank you so much for the call. Let's go to Diane in Glendale. Diane, hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing great.
I've listened to your program, for years. I've discovered that. I just love it.
Well, thank you so
much. It's right on. I think that classical music should be blared, and it should be as loud and noisy as possible, because that's a transportation place, you know? It's not a hangout. It's not a home.
You're totally right. And I think what we have discovered today is that the general population loves this idea. It's the loud disruptors that think, oh, it's torture, but that's not the voices of the real people that would actually use it. Diane, thank you so much for the call. We're so glad that you found us. Let's go to Greg in Orange. Greg, hello.
Hi. So the idea of using classical music to dissuade people from staying around is completely asinine, but it shows the low IQ of our elected officials. Actually, depending on who it is, I'd be more inclined to hang around if they played some nice music. But what would get the people out of there is something that's dissonant and repetitive. And the best thing for that is Baby Shark. And that's a little sad because I know the girl who wrote it, she's quite nice. But they should play that all day. Or even worse, if you've ever heard Chinese opera, that's almost like sticking ice picks in your ears.
And yet somebody keeps suggesting that we play that on Throwback Thursdays on the John Phillips Show. Greg, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Oh, Baby Shark. The problem with that one is it's such an earworm that then everyone, once they get on the train, would start suddenly muttering themselves, Baby Shark, do. But another great round of calls. Thank you all so much for participating and for being a part of this experience. Live local talk radio. They said it couldn't be done anymore, and we're doing it every single day. For you, for me, for everybody. Thanks so much for listening. If you ever miss an episode of this show, you can download it. Go to kabc.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for the News Blitz with Randy Wang. You can leave a review, you could subscribe, you could download. There's even transcripts if you're on Apple Podcasts, which is great for our Happy Hour Friday shows. And of course, email me about anything and everything, randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. See you tomorrow for another News Blitz right here on Talk Radio 790 KABC.